Hello, everyone. My name is Danny, and this review is for Finding Your Feet. When Sandra Abbott discovers that her husband of 40 years is having an affair with her best friend, she seeks refuge in London with her estranged older sister, Biff. The two could not be more different. Sandra is a fish out of water next to her outspoken, serial-dating, free-spirited sibling. But different is just what Sandra needs at the moment, and she reluctantly lets Biff drag her along to a community dance class where she starts finding her feet. This is a 2018 movie. It is rated PG-13, and it runs about 110 minutes. This stars Imelda Staunton, Timothy Spall, Celia Imrie, David Heyman, and Joanne Lundquist or something like that. So yeah, not many people kind of a different group of characters. This guy, he's been in some things. So, you would think looking at the cover of this and just kind of watching for 10 minutes that it's going to be kind of a lighthearted, little fruity kind of movie. Well, that's not the case. It's a very serious movie. It has to do with a lot of serious stuff. It's very tense. It's very dramatic. It has its light moments, and I appreciated the humor for the most part in this. And it keeps you in a light spirit with the comedy, but it's not the focus of this movie. The focus of this movie is to be serious and to deal with serious topics. And so that's what it's about, just for anybody that might be interested in watching it sometime. I wrote down the things that it kind of deals with, and I'll just run through them here a second. It mentions that when Sandra starts being around her sister more, that she needs to use common manners for, people that don't care about her status and just care about being a nice person. So that's a great subject, and I'm glad it brought it up. There's a good line in the movie. Obviously, this focuses on family and the fact that, family is more important than anything else, and sometimes it takes us a long time to figure that out, but that is one of the main points of this movie, so I'm glad it covers that also. Then it gets into the heavier things, and I'll just let you know about these. It has the subject material of a heart attack. Subject material obviously is a big deal about divorce. Subject material, it kind of brings up somebody remembering that a song was our song, and it just brings back all kinds of memories, and that happens to a lot of us, and that's kind of a sad thing. And then just the name of the movie, Finding Your Feet. It has a couple different meanings. It has about finding your feet of dancing, because it used to be Sandra's kind of passion of dancing, and then it's taken so long for her to kind of get back into it, so she has to find her feet of dancing again. And then obviously finding your feet of getting back on your feet and caring for yourself, after tragedy kind of thing, of separation and stuff. And then also I think it has kind of a third meaning of, are we really finding our feet, or are we really finding ourselves, because a lot of people in this movie have to kind of look at themselves in the mirror and wonder if they're the problem, and wonder if they're the one that needs fixing, and wondering why they're trying to make everybody else happy except themselves. So there's a lot of good points to this movie, and it's kind of a deeper thing than I think people will realize. The people are a little hard to understand as they're talking, and I've watched a lot of these kind of comedies with the English accent, the garage or whatever they say, hospital, all us kind of Americans, we say, oh, we got to go to the hospital. They're at the hospital. And English people say, oh, Elizabeth is hospital. I'm like, or something. Or Elizabeth is at hospital. It's the way they say things. It gets a little hard to understand. Gets a little translated, differently for me and for some people that might watch this movie. And it gets a little hard to understand. And sometimes people who don't understand wish they would just be a little bit more clear and a little bit more precise. That's all. Okay. The one of the other things that kind of brings up, and I thought it was kind of a tough part of the movie, but it's why it's kind of good also, is keeping secrets from family. We shouldn't do that. People do that. Sometimes, we think we're protecting them and protecting ourselves by doing it, but it's never a good thing. If you're something, that you're dealing with, it's just going to eat you up inside. So just please, from this movie, it's teaching us this lesson to just tell your family what's going on. It's all for the best. It does go a little bit in and out of scenes. I can't say it's a bad thing. I think it's okay how it does it because it makes sense to where it's cutting. Like, it doesn't show them flying on a plane to Rome, but it shows them going to Rome, and it shows a thing that's in Rome, so you can kind of understand, that they had to take a plane there and all that. So it's common sense kind of things. I wouldn't say it was rushed. I mean, not every single movie has to be 3 hours or anything, but, you also can't cover every single detail either. So I think it was fine how they handled it. It got a little worse towards the end because it did start feeling rushed a little bit, but I'm not sure what would have fixed it. I just think it was fine how it was. It just felt a little rushed. There was one joke I had to share, and there are a couple nice songs in this movie too. It has to do with the dancing and stuff. The music's really nice. They shared this joke. So what disease can you get from eating decorations? Tinselitis. So they had a couple other jokes. I couldn't really hear them or understand them, but they were good. The music was good. I appreciated a lot of the people in this movie, especially the one guy I kind of recognized. And I just think this was kind of a nice story. Like, we've seen it before, told a different way, but I think they handled everything correctly. And I think it was a really nice movie. There's one last thing that I just wanted to talk about, and that is a relative that forgets you, and should you leave them. The guy that I recognize, his name is Charlie in this movie, and his wife ends up suffering from Alzheimer's and ends up forgetting Charlie, and he has to deal with that whole situation by himself. He decides not to tell people about it, and then he ends up deciding that it's best for him just to not go there, because when he does, he kind of confuses her and she has like these fits. And I'm just like, it's a good question to ask, like, what would you have done in that situation? Would you stay by your family member's side until they pass away, or would you think it's the best to just kind of back off and let them be comfortable in their environment? It's a tough question, and I'm glad this movie addresses it. It gets people thinking. It gets people thinking about what they should do and what maybe they need to be prepared for in the future. It's a tough watch when it starts getting really, really serious. The big surprise of the movie, I won't unveil, but it's a big subject too all the time, every time it's in a movie. And this was kind of a heavier subject also, the whole deciding to leave a loved one that just wasn't comfortable with you coming around because they don't remember you. And when you're there, they're confused, and when you're not there, they're comfortable. It was shocking that they decided that's what Charlie wanted to do and what he thought was best. It was shocking to me. So, I think this is generally a good movie for how serious it is, for how much fun it is along the way is good, but this is a very tough movie to watch. A lot of people will relate to this or have something have happened in this movie happen in their own life, and they're just not going to be able to make it through. There are a couple emotional times, and somebody like me that can't relate to the diseases and sicknesses that the people had in this movie personally, I was still affected by it. So I think a lot of people, if you heard about this movie or not, if you give it a watch, I think it's going to be a little tough. So that's my fair warning. I think it is a nice movie, though, so I'm going to give it a B, and I'm going to suggest it. It's just kind of a emotional way of making a movie, and I'm glad they went the way they did, but I totally would have done the ending differently. When somebody says they want a second chance and they cheated on you, you should just tell them to shove it. And I don't care, that she didn't go back to her husband, Sandra, but then you could have still ended the movie how you did, about her kind of running towards Charlie. So the whole second chance thing, I don't really, believe in that, and I don't like it when movies kind of do it. So, especially when this movie was kind of outrageous about it. It's a movie. They said that the husband and his mistress had been cheating on Sandra for like 5 years. Nobody deserves a second chance after that. That's a little outrageous to me at the end there. So, would have done the end differently, but the rest of it was fine. I give a B to Finding Your Feet. Thanks a lot, guys. My name's Danny. If you like this or any of my other reviews, try and give some of them a watch, like and subscribe to my channel if you would, and enjoy your movies. Thanks.